Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. And today we're going to see a body horror movie called The Substance, starring Demi Moore. Kathy, what do you know about this?
I know you told me that it's a body horror movie starring Demi Moore.
Great. Do you know the plot of this? Because I'll tell you how I landed on us going this. This film is getting a lot of buzz.
I've honestly never heard of it before.
Yeah, it's getting good buzz, good word of mouth, a lot of people talking about it. It won Best Screenplay at the Cannes Film Festival. Demi Moore is getting rave reviews. I watched the trailer and I did my trick of turning it off as soon as I was convinced, which was about 10 seconds in.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it is a great setup. I think you're going to love it. I'm not going to say anything to you about this plot then, but if you were listening to this, you were about to hear the trailer, so that is going to give a little bit of it away.
You can also hear the sweet sound of autumn leaves being crunched as we walk.
Yeah, that's not really coming through in the headphones.
No, but it's the first time it's happened.
I'm afraid, so you might have to use your imagination.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I haven't seen Demi Moore in anything in ages, but I really like her. She's someone I really like, and I can't quite articulate why, because aside from Ghost and Indecent Proposal, I'm not sure what I've actually seen her in, but I really like her, and yeah, sounds fun. I'm up for it. Yes,
and it's a French writer-director, and this is I believe her second feature film.
Wow, okay.
So I am very excited to check this out. Let's head on in.
People always ask for something new. It's inevitable. At 50, well, it stops.
Have you ever dreamt of a better version of yourself? Younger, more beautiful, more perfect. One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself. This is The Substance.
I'm Sue.
You're hired.
Okay, hi, we're back. We have seen the film The Substance. If it is your first time here at the Cinemile, we will not spoil this movie until we get to spoiler street, and you will be warned. Kathy, what did you think of the film The Substance?
What the hell did we just watch? I'm blown away. I was sitting there thinking, is this the best movie I've seen this year? Because it sure feels like it.
I'm feeling like this is going to be in my top 5.
Yeah, I was like top 5 material for sure. It's a fascinating film. I know you'll have just played the trailer there, which I haven't seen yet, so now I'm going to go back and watch it.
You can describe the basic plot.
It's fascinating. So it has shades of Death Becomes Her, which is one of my favourite movies. So I'd tingled down my spine when that started. It's
with Bruce Willis in it, the former husband of Demi Moore.
So basically, she's an aging movie star. So I was also thinking of whatever happened to Baby Jane. She's an aging movie star, and she is being confronted by ageism and sexism and all the rest of it in the industry, and kind of, wish I was younger, or wish I wasn't getting older. And then she is offered the opportunity to get a substance that would get you a younger self.
The perfect younger version of herself.
But there's 2 of you, and you alternate every second week. What a cool premise!
It's like a Black Mirror episode, isn't it?
It's so like a Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Body horror, body swap, Death Becomes Her, all of that. It's so plot driven at the beginning, and actually for ages there's no dialogue, and it really works. It's kind of set in an alternative universe, I would say, where it's now, but it's kind of the 80s.
I would describe the world that this movie inhabits as kind of like a stylized representation of our world, right? As in, it's not grounded in reality.
It's not grounded in reality.
Deliberately.
And also, there's like, it's definitely set now, but then like the TV landscape appears to be the 80s.
Yeah, as in like terrestrial TV is the biggest thing you can do.
And the biggest thing you could do on that is an aerobics show.
Yes.
So I love all that, like that world building. And then like visually, there's so many long corridors
Oh
in
my
this
God,
movie.
the set design in this movie.
I was getting like, it's not like Severance at all, but you know when you watch a show like we watch
It's
Severance,
Kubrick
where
vibes.
it looks so, it's got such a distinct world.
Yes,
This has
yes.
such a distinct world in it.
The sets in this movie.
It's incredible. And then I love Demi Moore. She's such a good actress. She's amazing in it. And then it's so fascinating. And you probably won't know this, Dave, but like, you know, you would think we're like, as a society, we're like evolving around beauty trends and like people are embracing the fact that they're lucky to be alive longer and people are more body positive. And you'd imagine this is the world we live in, you know? Do you know what like the biggest thing that little girls are watching on TikTok is? And I'm talking about 8, 9, 10-year-olds.
God, I don't know. I don't want to know. Go on.
Skincare videos. So do you know that 8, 9, 10-year-olds are actually using anti-aging or want to use
stop.
anti-aging skincare products? And they're all obsessed with using skincare products. And if that's why you may not notice, we actually went into Boots after we watched the movie there.
I mean, I noticed you did
Full
that.
of 10-year-old girls buying skincare.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're spending huge sums of money, like really, really expensive skincare. And that's basically all the beauty brands are marketing to teenage girls with teenage influencers. The beauty industry is incredibly toxic. The anti-aging industry is incredibly toxic. And then obviously as people who are like living in the world and aging, like everyone has to reckon with their body changing as they get older. So I think that reckoning is like completely exacerbated in this film because she's somebody who's like seems like her entire identity is wrapped into how she looks.
Yeah.
And then she has to reckon with that and she feels really valueless. Anyway, it's so deep. There's so much going on here. I've talked for too long. I absolutely loved it. Dave, what did you think?
Oh my
of
God,
it?
same. I'm blown away. Like I felt like this movie just slapped me in the face. I was like, it had my full attention. Do you know what? I didn't bring this up with you deliberately before going in, but this movie I think is 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and I thought there's no way I'll get Kathy in the cinema if she knows it. And I thought, but I myself was nervous because I'm like, I knew the premise of this movie. I'm like, I don't understand how you're going to. That feels like a stretch, and we all feel that movies are getting too long, and I feel like just do 90 minutes and get in and out. I think this movie like gripped me for every single minute, and it used every minute of its running time.
Could have been longer.
It was perfect. I think this movie is perfect. I think it's incredible. I loved it. It is uncomfortable. It is gross.
Yeah, I didn't mention any of that. It's just
It's disgusting.
Like there was about at least 20 times where I was like, I can't look at the screen.
Do you know? Same. Yeah, I was like, and the
so
audience.
boring.
We were all vibing with this movie.
Yeah.
Like we were all you laugh uncomfortably. You can't look away. Like I looked to the right at one point and caught eyes with another woman who was also not looking at the screen.
There was by the way, big crowd for a Sunday afternoon. Just goes to show when you've got good buzz around a movie, you've got a movie star like Demi Moore, people are gonna come for it.
And I'm glad. Show up for this movie, everybody, if you're listening. But I speaking of our audience, when we got up, everyone was kind of nervously chuckling with each other, and I saw two, a guy and a girl who were kind of awkwardly not speaking to each other and staring ahead stunned, and they could have any situation, but I'm imagining that they're on a first date. It's the worst first date movie ever. Anyway.
No, I think it's a great first date movie because, like, boy, does it give you a lot to talk about after. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's true. Speaking of how disgusting this movie was, I think the thing that deserves the most credit is the sound. The Foley mixer is, if anyone who doesn't know, is the person that will create sound effects into a microphone to accompany the movie. So you don't capture the sound of somebody walking in high heels down a long corridor. The Foley mixer will do that, and then it gets added to the movie.
Okay.
The Foley mix in this movie and the sound design is usually something you don't notice, right? It's just in the background. It gets so much prominence in this movie.
So
You
good.
get like, and this is in the trailer as well, like Dennis Quaid, who's great in this. Just disgustingly chomping down on like prawns, king prawns. Like there's a lot of just like food.
Oh, that Dennis Quaid is
the sound,
disgusting in this
he's
film.
gross. just he's just being a character. He's gross, and just people making food. There's a lot of like disgusting food noises, body noises, like even like a fly landing on someone's skin or being in Chardonnay. Like the and she also films this. The cinematography is uncomfortably close. Like you're just up in everyone's grill.
Yeah.
You're looking up their nostrils. It's just a vibe. Caroline Fargeat. I'm going to say her name wrong. Or she's Coralie Fargeat or Fargeat.
I'm enjoying you trying to put on a French
That's
accent
really
to do
hard,
this.
actually. It's a hard surname. I'm sorry, Coralie. She was a writer, director, and co-producer of this film. What a talent! I'm
amazing.
I will now show up for. I'm going to
Anything,
go back and
yeah.
watch her 2017 debut, Revenge, and I'm going to show up for her because she is so.
It's so
talented.
layered.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's so layered, and it also is. I think it's a real study in the beauty industry, society's expectations, what it means to age as a woman or a man, and also though it's just a disgusting body horror movie
But
with
it's
like shades
entertaining.
of Carrie.
Yes,
And, like,
yes, Carrie. Oh my god!
So there's a lot going on, like, and it's funny because a part of me was like at one point. So the person that Demi Moore, like the other of Demi Moore, is this very beautiful young actress, and the camera lings on her.
I didn't know her. She's called Margaret Qualley. She's fantastic in this.
She's from she was in Maid, which I didn't watch. Sandy McDowell's daughter.
She had a small role in Poor Things, so we saw her in that.
And she's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It's really there's only 3 actors really in this movie. I know there are a few other actors, but it's just them.
Anyway, she's really good, but the camera completely lingers on her body at all times, and I was torn. I was split in half on this.
Yeah.
Because I was like, all right, we get it. She's got the world's best arse. I can see that, but also. It's a lot, there's a lot of lingering on her body. But then the other part of me was like, but then if I was 60 and then suddenly I woke up with like an 18-year-old body, You'd be
obsessed.
Rubbing my arse.
Yeah.
Though also hilariously in this movie, Demi Moore turns 50, but we're like, but we all know she's in her 60s.
I know, yeah.
Because she was a star in the 80s. So what's that about? Even that's odd in itself.
That's a strange choice.
So some of it I felt like it could have been. I just can't tell if it's a bit leery or a bit schlocky.
Well, can we go? I think it's both.
It's
no,
kind of
actually,
doing
no.
both.
I'm gonna pick up on your point on the leeriness. Schlocky, 100%. This film is leaning into it's bright and colourful and deliberately schlocky, right? But it has substance in it beyond that.
It has loads of substance.
But just on the leery thing, right? Okay, Firstly, I think context is important, right? The fact that this is a female writer and director, I think. If you literally just swapped her name with a man's name in the writer-director credit,
I'd be like, ugh.
we would all look at this movie and say, this is like that there is a male gaze on this movie. So I think by the mere fact that she's there, you can be a little bit more at ease. But
particularly with all the scenes, there's a lot of nudity in this, and for female actresses, I feel better for them that's the environment they're in.
But here's the thing, right? I think the word gratuitous is often used in front of the word nudity when it comes to screen nudity. Mm-hmm. I personally think it is completely appropriate in the context of this movie.
Yeah, because
if not necessary.
It's literally about wanting, like in Death Becomes Her, it's much tamer than this obviously, but you see their butts tightening, their boobs going up, their stomach tightening. Like it's like for Demi Moore's character, it's literally about getting a younger body, so therefore the body stuff all makes sense. I think I don't want us to spoil anything, so I think we should go into spoiler street in a minute. But yeah, Demi Moore has never shied away from being naked on screen. Love her for it.
Yep.
She certainly doesn't in this film. I was surprised it was a 16th rating. Thought it might have been an 18th actually.
I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you what the IFCO or the BBFC decide is the difference between a 16 and an 18.
But there's a lot of nudity, but there is essentially no sex. I think that might be the difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, what a blast, what a laugh. Definitely go and see it in the cinema because it's one to watch with a crowd because of, if nothing else, the sheer shock and awe and laughter going on.
It was very enjoyable with a crowd. All right, will we go to spoilers then?
Yeah.
Okay, spoilers for the movie The Substance. But before we do that, you might hear a quick ad. Okay, so before we get to spoilers for The Substance, just a quick shout out for our Patreon channel over at patreon.com/The Cinemile. It's called The Cinemile High Club. If you join that, you're part of the club. It's a great club. We've got hundreds of people we love in there. We chat away constantly. We do a retro movie club once a month where we all watch something that's voted upon by the patrons. This time I'm turning 40 and I gave them a choice of 6 movies from 1984 that are also turning 40, and everyone voted for This Is Spinal Tap. So we've seen that. That's going to be up very shortly. And we do a lot of TV reviews. We've just done the work of another aging actress who continues to deliver, but in decreasing quality shows, if you ask me. The Perfect Couple we watched on Netflix.
The number one show on Netflix. We just reviewed The Perfect Couple, and yeah, loads of other stuff going on there. Now on to spoilers for The Substance.
Yes. Oh my god.
Oh
okay.
my god. The last hour of this movie is, Isaac, what the fuck are we watching?
Yeah, but by the I gotta say this movie goes hard at the end, and I really admire it for it, because I thought it could have ended. I thought it was going to end in the apartment.
I thought it was going to end.
Yeah.
Like, now that we're on spoilers, we can talk a little bit about, like, so when Demi Moore, it's so interesting. I meant to say before spoilers, it's also a real look at, like, loneliness.
Oh my god, yes. The scene where she is trying to go to Luigi's at 8 o'clock to meet that man, it hurt me so much.
And
that shows that you're invested in a character.
I really
was
cared about
literally
it.
pumping my fist like, please go on that date.
And it's also, like, it's loneliness, and I think there's, like, layers to the loneliness. Big one being actually the loneliness of being a celebrity.
Yeah.
The other is because this character is so cripplingly, I'd say, body dysmorphic or self-conscious, or she herself wraps her image so much in how she looks that, like, she's so invested in youth and beauty that, like, she is also her own worst enemy. Like, it's incredibly toxic. Like, she hates herself. And I think this film's really exploring, like, her actual hatred of her aging body, her aging face. And that scene.
But then she ends up hating her younger self as well.
She's
like,
just so, like, there's no dialogue for most of this. Like, Demi Moore, the cross between the direction and how Demi Moore is acting is phenomenal. Like, we see she keeps trying to make herself look nice. You see that she, like, doesn't like the wrinkles around her mouth, so she, like, takes off her lipstick and puts, like, concealer on and redoes the lipstick. She doesn't like the wrinkles around her neck, so she's putting a scarf on. She keeps seeing this looming billboard of the younger self, and it's almost like she's looking, and I thought that was a real reflection on, like, all the toxicity that we have on our phones, whereby people use filters all the time, and this is, like, a legitimate thing, and it's been, like, heavily reported on, discussed.
Did you see Instagram has just removed their beauty filters? All beauty filters on Instagram have now been removed. Yes.
No, I did not see that. Wow.
Yeah, look, Google that. And also they've produced, like, a teen-friendly version of Instagram. They are answering far too late all the criticisms.
Whatever. That's just because they've got regular people up their asses now. But all the filters, even, like, say ourselves, when we go on, like, a Zoom call, and we might have it set to kind of blurred or whatever.
Yeah.
When people see themselves online filtered and on screens filtered, and people also look at old photos of themselves a lot, which she's clearly doing, when they actually see themselves, it's really jarring.
She's got one framed in her living room. Yeah.
And I was reading before the psychologist's advice, which was like, what so many of us do, and I've done it and you've done it too, like, you've older pictures of yourself.
Taking an illegal substance I found down an alley?
No. You've older pictures of yourself, and it might be whether it's, like, your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, your work profile, whatever. You don't change it, and suddenly you're representing yourself online.
Yeah.
As someone from 10, 15, 20 years ago. And then another thing that happens, and particularly women, and again, it's, like, well documented, is that, like, women will typically, not always, be the ones who take all the photos in the home. So the older the women get when they have kids and stuff, they're not really in the photos, and then their bodies change after they have children, and then they don't like how they look, so then they stop going in photos. So you end up with this real disconnect from how you currently look, because you keep thinking of yourself in old photos, because you've no new photos of yourself. And it's a real thing, and it's a real phenomenon. And I feel like that's all layered in here as well. It's so clever. Never mind all the amazing stuff like you just mentioned then, like the actual sci-fi, the beginning of it when she, like,
the rules of the substance are fantastic, and you need the stakes to be very clearly laid out. You know, you've got 7 days. They've got the 3 steps, and the way they deliver the exposition is beautifully done through box and writing.
never plug a strange USB into any electronic object in your home.
I know, right? That is rule number one.
So you want a computer virus?
Yeah.
And then it's like this so lo-fi kind of like this explanation that's like 3 slides long, probably no more than like 30 words.
It's both like just enough detail and also really not enough detail at all.
And it's like a really spammy ad you'd see on Facebook that you'd block because it was created by AI and it's like wrong. And she's like, but I like how they show us she does reject it a couple of times.
No, she rejects it once.
Well, no, but she throws it in the bin.
Yeah.
Then she gets hammered, takes it out of the bin. She's really drunk, she phones them, writes it on her hand. Then she's obviously dismissed it again. And then she picks up the newspaper, and this is where it was like being back in the 80s again. It was like, do you want to be the next Elizabeth Sparkle?
Yeah.
And then she looks at her hand. So it's like, she's like, okay, fine, I'll just do it then. It's like, sorry, would you inject yourself with the substance?
With something, but I guess look, you just have to get the movie did just enough to convince us
do you know what
she's
else?
desperate, right?
What else I was thinking about though as I watched it is,
Go on.
like Ozempic obviously hugely documented how much everyone in Hollywood is using it now. Obviously like a wonder drug that has been invented to like help people who got diabetes or who have obesity, but it's been completely co-opted now by people and very thin people in Hollywood who inject themselves to make themselves even thinner, which is like not the purpose of the drug at all. And also like before it was even like out there that much, they all were injecting themselves with it. Like apparently in Hollywood parties and caterers and stuff, there's this amazing article called How Ozempic Ate Up Hollywood, and it said that like people in like parties in Hollywood like don't even serve food anymore because they're all on Ozempic. And I kind of felt like Ozempic.
That's going to have a knock-on effect to the catering industry,
yeah.
right?
I mean, never mind the fact that your body needs calories and nutrients to live.
This is a very interesting time for this movie to come out.
It's really, because I was thinking of Ozempic. I was like, do you know what, people in Hollywood though, whatever it is, it might be Ozempic, it might be, we just watched a really interesting show about the original gladiators on Netflix where they were all sticking steroids in themselves. It's like, people will always inject themselves.
But in what's the common denominator in both those things is the entertainment industry.
That's what I'm saying.
Where you're projecting a false reality like a beauty filter back to an audience who hungrily consumes it.
So I actually genuinely bought that she would have done it. I think all evidence would point to the fact that yes, some people in Hollywood would do this because it's incredibly dysmorphic and fucked up how people treat their bodies there. But then the logistics of it, we're like, what's in it for the scientists?
Well, that's this company is so interesting because firstly, they don't seem to receive any payment. So I thought that was going to come back in Act 3. Like, what's the real payment here?
I thought you'd get
what
your
are they
first week.
taking back?
I thought you get the first week free.
Yeah, and
then it's like $1 million a week.
But I guess maybe we are to assume she is paying them somehow. I don't know, but it's never made clear. But one thing I got to say about the company that produces the substance: world-class customer service. You can phone them day or night; they always respond straight away. Now, they're not the friendliest, they say yes, but they will always answer.
We told you in the original ad that you are as one.
And also, they're very on brand. They have very clear, specific branding. You are as one, you're the same person, and they will reinforce that message consistently via the customer service representative.
It's so clever.
No, not she. You are as one.
Yeah, you are as one.
Maintain the balance. Respect the balance.
I love, the other thing I thought about is like what it really illustrated is like self-hatred and self-loathing people can have for themselves.
Yes.
When they're not acting the way they want themselves to act. Because like at the beginning, it's actually very nurturing and caring how the two of them treat each other.
Well, except they don't even put a fucking pillow down.
Well, yeah.
Why bring them into the bed?
Every time they swap,
naked
they
on the
fall
floor.
on the ground and bash their head off the tiles. But there's so much care given at the beginning. What's wild is that like the instructions are incredibly basic, and yes, she like intuitively understands that she needs to suck a liquid out of Demi Moore's spine and like inject it in herself. But there's
that could have used a little bit more instructions rather than just 2 stabilize every day. Here's a giant syringe.
Spine self-healing and all
when
that.
when she started like over extracting the spine liquid and in the same spot. Why like the spine goes down the whole body? Does it have to be in the same like pus-filled spot?
But even at the beginning she does it so gently, and by the end she's like stabbing her with a needle.
But that's what I think, the way the movie escalates. It's never boring, and it gears up exactly when it needs to. The animosity that builds between the two characters, who are the one character, is fascinating, and the way that all comes to a head is beautiful.
At the beginning I thought they were sharing a consciousness.
Well,
by the end I don't think they are, because like when each one of them is waking up, they're like really angry with the other one, which makes me think they're not sharing a consciousness.
But then
or it begins to split. Maybe at the very beginning there, and then it
But then I wonder. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is made explicit. But yet Demi Moore, the older version of Elizabeth Sparkle, or if we say, well, is it Elizabeth Sparkle and Sue? We'll refer to them as two characters.
Two
Elizabeth
Sparkle,
when she wakes up first after the first 7 days of Sue, she writes Sue in the calendar, so she and they haven't had a conversation. She knows her name is Sue, so I think I think
they share a consciousness, but each one has its own desires.
But then also they seem to be completely unaware of what's happened in the 7 days when they wake up, because they discover the mess that's been left for them. Right?
I think it must be like maybe there's a dual personality, like one's dormant, so it's witnessing what the other one's doing.
Yeah.
But it has no control. I mean, by the end, the stuff they're playing into it, like the old kind of hag-sploitation, like how does a woman stereotypically look when she's been depicted as an old hag witch? Like Demi Moore at the end during her baking was incredible.
Oh my God! When she's like feverishly like pulling pulling the organs out of a turkey.
Oh my God!
She's
like
cooking every meal in that French book.
I was like, this is like I'm actually watching an iconic cinema scene in front of me. Like people will study this in film studies classes. It was something to behold.
The fervor that
and she's
portrays.
watching Sue on the TV,
and she's like communicating with Sue, like the anger,
so good. And
throwing eggs. I love she starts throwing eggs at the TV in the window, and then when Sue wakes up, I love the way they keep.
The house is filthy.
They're also like flatmates, aren't they? In a way,
they're
sharing
so
this one
like
space.
That. Like it's honestly so clever. I feel like we could talk about it all day. And then what's fascinating also though, and it shows how like limited Elizabeth's reality is. Like she's very cocooned in her own little world. Like the fact that she gets this do-over to be young again and all this, and all she does is go straight back and audition for the same stupid aerobics show.
But that's what she's striving for, right? She's trying to retain something that has been lost to her.
But it's so sad
instead
that
of just letting go.
Yeah, like,
she's trying to reclaim the past.
And like she hates Dennis Quaid, and she just goes straight back and works for him again.
I know, it's kind of gross.
It's
and
so
look,
sad.
I thought what I really enjoyed, just to segue onto sort of the film, sort of that hyper stylized world again. What I like is that everything is, besides the fact that everything is completely simple and streamlined in this world. Like there's no detail to it. Have you noticed? Like, like the like literally when Sue gets her new show and there's a billboard up, it just says new show
I know,
coming soon. And then the talk show that she goes on, I noticed the interviewer is holding the cue card. His show is just called The Show.
Yeah.
And it's New Year's show. Like the world is deliberately, you know, it's like it's just like a stylized representation of our world. It's not interesting. It's drawn in broad strokes.
But
and
if it was
I
like
think
the
it's
80s or
interesting.
90s, because in reality, if like no one, like first of all, network TV, daytime network TV in America is probably the average age of like 60, 50.
Oh yeah, it doesn't hold any sway
sense.
anymore.
And then also, well, it holds sway for older audiences. So the number one thing you wouldn't actually do is sack someone who's in her 60s, or according to this movie, who's 50, for like an 18-year-old, because if the audience at home is like 60-year-old women doing aerobics videos, that actually makes no sense for your demographic. But also Sue would be doing like TikToks or something. So I really enjoyed that this film was like, no, it's just set in the TV world, and that's what they're doing.
But also on the same coin, did you notice the dialogue had been deliberately oversimplified? Like people don't speak like real people with complexity and nuance. Like they will just say the most basic and obvious thing. That they're just like, really, it's just centered on Elizabeth, and it's Elizabeth and Sue's movie, and then everyone else is just like, I think deliberately just an archetype. Yeah,
and just around them. And then when Sue,
like the dialogue's laughably weird at points.
Demi Moore's trying to capture back her own aerobic slot on the morning show, but then Sue like supersedes her and becomes like supersedes her and is getting like, oh well, you're hosting the New Year's show, which by the way looks like the worst New Year's show of my life. And then it's like that deal that Demi Moore struck, whereby before Sue was ever on the table to actually consent to this deal, Demi Moore signs up for the thing that it has to be every 7 days, which of course immediately Sue has no interest in, because Sue's out having a great time. Yeah. So Sue's already breaking it. And then that scene when Demi Moore wakes up and she's got like this one crooked old hag finger, and then she goes
Then
to that
3
cafe.
months later, and then you're just
Oh my
waiting
God,
to
it's
see what she's going to look like.
disgusting. And
Yeah.
like when she's in the cafe, and then that man says to her like, it's really long, isn't it? And she's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, 7 days. Like, it's a long time to wait. So that's where I do think they are each dormant. I think when they switch into the younger person, they're
They
dormant.
must
They're
be
observing.
receiving some benefit.
They're enjoying it. They're observing it. But or maybe it's real self-loathing, and maybe Demi Moore herself is the one trapping herself for 3 months because she hates herself.
Well, they are very clear that you are the same person, in a way.
Yeah, like, but then she's.
But yeah, I don't know. Do they share a consciousness? I don't think we have the answer.
Of course,
to
when
that.
she wakes up, then she's like enraged because of what's happened to her. But I think she's having such a good time. It's kind of like if you're smoking or drinking, you're doing something that you know that's really bad for your body, but you just like do it anyway. It's kind of that.
Demi Moore is the one that wakes up with the hangover.
Yeah, like 'cause she's like Sue's really young and like having a good time. Like Sue doesn't want to spend a week off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think there's so much to think about in terms of like, there's just so much to think about with this film. It's so complex. I love it. And thank you for suggesting we see it. I had such a ball. I was not expecting any of that. I'm still thinking about it. Like, I can't wait to go off and like read what people are saying about it. And I'm sure there's essays.
I gotta say, it far exceeded my expectations. I was going in I was hoping for just a schlocky sort of fun David Cronenberg-esque sort of B movie. And that's all it needed to deliver for me. If it was just like pretty crappy, I would have been happy.
So gory by the end. Like
it's
the end
so
scene,
good.
like the end scene.
I mean, it's comical. It's like, what I love is that like this film has a sense of humor as
So
well.
funny.
It is like deliberately like making violence and gore like funny. At least I believe that's the intention. Like when she's spinning, and that shot, I mean, surely that's the intention. That shot, the overhead shot of what was she called? Monstroso Elizasu. Which I love that they gave it a name and the title, when she's spinning around and her arms off and she's spraying blood all over the crowd. That's where your I think Carrie came into your head, right? Carrie. That's just
the amount of
funny,
blood in
like.
that scene, and she's got Demi Moore's like a cutout of Demi Moore's face, and she's got the blue.
I mean, it's absurd.
And she's like,
it's funny.
Still me. I haven't changed. And I think why this film's actually very poignant, though, is that like when you go right back to the beginning, we're looking at Demi Moore, who's like this, stunningly youthful looking woman, frankly, for her age, and like we're already like thinking, it just shows no one's ever happy with themselves, because we're already thinking, fucking hell, Demi Moore looks amazing,
looks great.
for like 60,
Yeah.
and then the film's like, oh no, she's 50, which is also believable, and then she hates herself and she wants to be younger, and then when one thing's gone wrong, which is the finger, and she's about to go on the date, and I think it's really sad because it's a path not taken. It's like she could have stopped it then.
Yeah.
But like what happens in the end, I mean, it's fucking hilarious the way they like literally a boob pops out of her eye.
I know, right?
Like,
but also
it's disgusting.
that was all just so wacky and wild.
Yeah.
But I also don't think the film went off the rails. I think it was like chef's kiss ending.
Perfection,
Like,
when it's just at the very end, it's like a big slime ball. It's like the thing.
It's
There's,
beautiful.
Like, Demi Moore's face.
her
and she
face
crawls.
crawling up to her own star. I mean, like that is. I've never seen anything
never
like that.
seen
So
anything like it,
hats
yeah.
off. And the but even the bit before that, which would have been enough of a climax, where the two of them meet and have an actual fist fight in that apartment.
That was so good.
In that brilliant apartment with the long corridor going down to the bathroom. Like, what an insane design for an apartment, but like just brilliant for this horror
This
movie.
is the apartment. A humongous living room that only has one armchair in it.
A tiny kitchen.
Because she's completely solitary and lonely.
Yeah.
Then you have a kitchen that's basically a corridor that has one seat.
It's
and
so
then a bathroom
stupid.
that's like a subway bathroom, and it's all white.
Which you
and,
have
like,
to
horrific.
walk like 5 minutes
yeah,
to get to.
and I love that design of it, because I would say somebody walks up or down a hallway possibly 30 times in this film.
Yeah.
Like, and it's used so well, like every time. So good.
They use the space so well, and the studio space with that long Kubrickian corridor with the
So
posters,
good.
like incredible. Like, and just the way like the long zoom outs, like the room that she constructs where she keeps Demi Moore's body, and then it zooms out into the blackness
was
of it
so
all.
good. And when she
Dennis
goes
Quaid
in-
walking down that long corridor,
And
again.
when she like knocks through the wall and makes the room where she like hides the body and like sucks at one point sucks like months worth out of the spine, but like it's just hilarious, and
Into
actually
jars.
then really sad. Twice we see interactions with two men, so one of whom the neighbour is and one of whom is the guy she sleeps with, the motorcycle guy, and how they both react so differently when faced with an older woman versus a younger woman. And that is the misogyny and sexism in society. So the film did capture that as well. And like older women talk about how like they feel invisible, and like, that film really captured all that.
Incredibly streamlined and simplified, but recognizable, instantly recognizable.
So good.
Like,
anyway, I think we could talk about it all day, but I do think we need to stop.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, look, thanks for listening. Look, it's been great fun talking about this. Let us know what you think about this film, please do, at The Cinemile is where you can find us on Instagram, Letterboxd or YouTube, or you can email us thecinemile@gmail.com. I actually have a slightly different plug actually before we go. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Massimo Paradiso, has...
Best name ever.
Is it? Yes, he has written 3 books. It is not his pen name. That's his actual... He was born into life with a pen name. Massimo Paradiso is fantastic. He's a great friend of mine, and he asked me to read one of his books because it's set in Ireland. It's called Lucky's Woods. It's a sort of a folk supernatural horror set in Ireland. It's fantastic. He asked me to sort of sense check it from a sort of Irish cultural perspective. I didn't have to give him any notes because he seems to intuitively know Irish folklore, culture, and history, but there wasn't enough stout in it. So now if you do read his book, which I recommend, and you notice that they're all drinking stout instead of warm British ale, that is my main contribution. But
that's a good note.
I just have to hand it to Massimo. He's done fantastic work. I've only read one of his 3 books that he's published, but I've got the other 2 on our shelf. They're called After Arrival, which is post-apocalyptic sci-fi, and Two Bodies. So he's brilliant. He's done he's launched himself into genre writing with
Can't wait
gusto.
to read them, and I feel like they will go like. This film kind of got me ready for this, you know?
Yes, I think this is exactly the sort of style and vibe that Massimo has gone for.
So we're going to link to the show link where you can buy. In the show links, click and you'll be able to see where all his books are.
Please do. They're available. Yeah. They're available now in your Kindle or you can buy them. I've got the paperbacks. They're beautiful covers as well, so they look nice on your shelf. So head into the show notes, please, and check out Massimo's 3 books and pick one up. I highly recommend them. And thanks everyone for listening, and thanks again to everyone who joined us at our live show at the Cork Podcast Festival last week at the Cork Opera House. We had an absolute blast and really appreciated everyone coming out, and great to meet some of our listeners.
It was lovely. And we didn't just review Beetlejuice, that's just the bit that came on the feed. The rest was for attendees only. Yeah,
sorry, we had a great chat with the audience about Lego sequels, which you will never hear, listener. Sorry.
And The Perfect Couple.
Yes. Yeah. Right, thanks for listening everyone. Bye. See you next week.
Love that.